Welcome to Srihari's lessons. Hope you enjoy your time here. Continue listening and supporting. Hello friends, let us discuss about expense management in this video. Hope you have seen previous videos and keeping continuity. In income management, we mentioned the goal of personal finance management is to become wealthy and rich. What does that mean? What is the meaning of wealthy and rich? As per my belief and understanding, the first step or basic requirement of being wealthy and rich is to become financially independent. That means you are not depending on anything or anyone for meeting and fulfilling your financial needs. This in itself is difficult to put in words and understand. There is a psychology theory called Maslow's theory, MASLOW theory on hierarchy of needs. This was a theory proposed by an US psychologist, Abraham Maslow, long ago, say in 1940s. Let us dwell a little on this theory. You can find about this theory with a simple Google search. Let me try to put my understanding of this theory in a nutshell. The theory tries to define the motivation or driving force that leads to actions of humans. Each human does things in their life only based on their needs. As per that theory, the needs are classified into 5 categories, put up in a pyramid form. They are physiological needs, safety needs, love and belongingness needs, esteem needs, self-actualization needs. The theory puts food, water, shelter as physiological needs, security, health as safety needs, family, friends, intimacy as love and belongingness needs, self-respect, self-esteem, recognition as esteem needs, reaching full self-potential or self-satisfaction as self-actualization needs. This theory is one of the most enduring contributions in psychology and has been subject to a lot of further inferences and even criticisms. After some time, 2 more further levels have been added to the pyramid. They are cognitive needs and aesthetic needs. Creativity, foresight, curiosity for answers or information, etc. have been put as cognitive needs. Beautifying oneself or trying to have beauty around oneself is put as aesthetic needs. One should remember this is drawn by a US person who lived in US and will have a lot of American cultural influence on this. According to me, it is not hard structured or hard built as mentioned in this theory. It is not like something inscribed on stone. We need to take the concept of this theory and customize this for different scenarios. For each individual, the needs will differ and those can be structured or classified into a pyramid form. So we need to understand the needs of each individual at different points of time and identify the driving factors or motivation to enable, enhance and refine one's actions and reactions. Human needs are the primary driver for human actions and reactions. Human actions and reactions are what have led us to where we are today in history of Earth. Each invention, discovery, development or war, destruction, catastrophes are all a result of this. There are a section of people who say even natural calamities are the result of human actions and reactions. Just wanted to say this here, although this will not have much relevance to our topic of discussion. Another perspective from this is that humans never do anything without purpose of achieving something. The different categories of such purposes are what have been put into different levels in the pyramid. Let us come back to being financially independent. All of us need so many things in life, starting from basic needs of food, clothing, shelter, there are so many things we need on a day-to-day basis at different stages of life. As we often say, each individual is different. Therefore, the needs of each individual also will be different. Depending on the needs of each individual, they have to plan their finances and work their life. In olden days, trade was happening through barter system where one commodity will be exchanged for another. Later, gold was used as a medium of exchange in trade. In today's economic world, we need money to meet all these needs. We should have enough money to meet all our needs. As an individual or a family or a group of individuals, we have to first define and structure the needs. One has to understand their needs based on the circumstances they are living in. We have discussed earlier, there are enough diversities among humans based on social, economic, geographical or any such status. Needs will be different. This can be put in a single word as lifestyle or way of life. Objective is to keep improving and increasing our lifestyle, right? One has to make a pyramid of needs to classify them as more important or less important. Based on the same, we need to keep going higher in the pyramid to meet all the needs. I am saying a few words in English now. Need, wish, want, desire, aspiration, dream. Okay, all these are more or less of the same meaning. They mean the same thing, more or less. But you can understand there is a slight difference in the meaning, which basically can be considered as different levels of pyramid. These levels and components of each level have to be structured for each individual and cannot be generalized. If a general example is needed, we can just look at Maslow's pyramid. If there is a person struggling for even food, getting food every day, their first purpose of having money should be to get regular food. For another person who is getting food regularly, their purpose shall be something different or maybe something higher. Even ultra-rich people in the world have their own needs for which they have to work for, and they will have their own pyramid. Spending decisions are based on hierarchy of pyramid depending on how much money you have. Therefore, it should be understood that the classification levels of the needs depends on one's income level and financial status. As you grow your income, you go towards meeting higher needs. The income and expenses are so interconnected that one will always overlap with another. Another word we can use for financial independence is self-sufficient, self-sufficiency. Financial independence can be referred to money as a medium. However, self-sufficient is actually encompassing more items which can satisfy the needs. What we have discussed so far is all about understanding needs of individuals. Since the needs and their categorization are different for each individual, adding more points here may not be appropriate. I'll add a small story here. A big business magnate, a CEO of a huge multinational company, went to a restaurant. After food, when he was settling the bills, he gave $20 as tips to the waiter. Seeing the waiter had a question on his face, the CEO asked what it was about. The waiter said, 1 week ago, the CEO's daughter had come to the restaurant and she had given $100 as tips. But CEO himself gives only $20. The CEO laughed and replied that $20 are given by the son of a carpenter who later became a CEO, and $100 was given by the daughter of a large CEO. Everybody's lifestyle depends on their circumstances, especially the circumstances they grew up with in their early days. I am saying this story here in order to convey each individual is different and circumstances influences the actions of each individual. Why am I discussing so much about needs as a subject under the heading managing expenses? I am a firm believer that spending is only towards the needs. Needs does not only mean necessities. As you have seen in Maslow's hierarchy, there are even cognitive needs and aesthetic needs. Every expense we make in our life is towards a need. Nobody will throw money into unwanted things. Therefore, all this that we have discussed here so far are about expenses we come across in our life. Another point, being thrifty or lavish is only a perspective. It purely depends on one's circumstances. What is lavish in the eyes of one person is a basic need in the eyes of another person. So it is important not to be too much influenced by the opinions floating around. In olden days, at least society was limited to people around you. But in today's social media world, you are flooded with a lot of opinions from a lot of people who are at their various stages of their financial journey. This is not with the intention to say social media is totally unwanted. There are a lot of useful stuff which are not available in olden days because of social media. It is important to identify the right material and use them in your life. One has to be very clear not to get too influenced by opinions which are not suitable to you. There is one thought I want to mention here. Never undertake any expenses for show off. Show off here means never spend money on something to show to others that you have money, especially when you actually do not have that money. Having money is a financial need. Showing to others is a societal need. If you do not show to others, sometimes you may start developing a feeling of lack of respect in the society. Therefore, showing off is acceptable to a certain extent. But what is that extent? The balancing the financial need and societal need is also a skill one has to have. There are many scenarios coming to my mind. However, since too much generic information itself is a huge misguide in personal finance, discussing cases or scenarios are only useful when discussed based on individual circumstances. Otherwise, it will not only be meaningless, but it can be dangerously misleading. Another important aspect to consider is having a futuristic outlook. When you plan your needs and plan your spending, you have to think about today as well as tomorrow. This is where financial planning comes in picture. Similar to what I said in earlier videos, you need to have a vision for 50-60 years down the line and have actionable clear-cut plan for a shorter term, say 5 years. In today's world, many parents make a financial plan for their kids' higher education or marriage expenses when the kids are just born. As we repeat, it is a journey. When I say parents make higher education plan for just born, it is not a one-day event. It is built and executed over 18-20 years, slowly, brick by brick. Everyone should be able to think ahead as far as they can and put daily expenses, periodic expenses, say annual insurance premium, etc., and event-based expenses like this kid's education or marriage. Even after saying all this, I reassure you, plan is only a plan. There are so many things not in our control, and we may come across certain exigencies or emergencies which can derail our plan. Our duty is to keep the plan, remain vigilant, and review the plan periodically, and keep revising or updating the plan and move along. In majority of people I have come across, financially successful people over a long run are those who not only make a plan but periodically review and keep revising it as and when required. Based on periodic review of income and expense plan, you need to keep updating both based on the circumstances in front of you. Allocation of money should be based on the pyramid structure of the plan and time frame involved. So these are my thoughts related to expense management, which keep circling around understanding one's current circumstances, identifying needs, classifying the needs into a pyramid structure, then planning, reviewing, and revising the plan. With that, I'll close this. See you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome to Srihari's lessons. Hope you enjoy your time here. Continue listening and supporting.